Hi guys, it's MTG here, and since its release, the OnePlus 5T has garnered a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It's a phone that proves to the world that an affordably priced smartphone can still be great. Today I'll be comparing it to the iPhone X, which is actually twice the price of the OnePlus 5T. I'll be comparing them in 6 different categories, and in the end I'll give my recommendations. Let's get right into it. The first category I'll go over is design and specifications. Although both phones have gone with the trend of no physical home buttons and near bezel-less fronts, OnePlus and Apple took different directions in terms of design. The OnePlus 5T has maintained a standard rectangular screen and has basically elongated the screen from the OnePlus 5 to achieve a full HD plus resolution screen with an 18:9 aspect ratio. Outside of the front glass, the rest of the phone is made out of anodized aluminum and does in fact feel pretty solid in the hand. Powering the phone is Qualcomm's Snapdragon 835 chipset, and depending on what model phone you either get 6 or 8 GB of RAM and either 64 or 128 GB of storage. With the iPhone X, we get the notch on the front of the phone and pretty much no bezels anywhere else on its high-resolution display. Apple has elected to go with a glass back and a stainless steel frame. I'll say that the iPhone X looks and feels like the most premium phone made to date, but it is very expensive to repair and also proved to be very fragile despite Apple claiming that it's the strongest glass ever put on a smartphone. Also, even if I would take great care of it, there would be a small hairline scratches on both the front and the back. I always carried it around with a case, but I now also have a screen protector for the sole reason of protecting the screen from scratches. Powering the phone is Apple's new A11 Bionic chip that is the most powerful smartphone chip available. The chip helps the phone reach some insane camera frame rates, and with the 3 GB of RAM, helps the phone stay snappy in daily usage. The battery department is one that always used to go to Apple because of its optimization. But with battery advancements and fast charging, Android devices are starting to outperform Apple devices in terms of battery capabilities. The OnePlus 5T is no exception. Supplying power to the 5T is a 3300 mAh battery versus the 2716 mAh battery on the iPhone X. Sometimes the raw capacity numbers don't tell the whole story, but in this case, the 5T handedly beats the iPhone in terms of battery capabilities. With the 5T, you'll be able to comfortably make it through the entire day. The iPhone X should make it through the entire day, but there may be those days where it gets so low where you feel inclined to charge it. Keep in mind, the iPhone X does have wireless charging, and that could be very useful for some people. But the 5T's dash charging is so fast that I don't think I'd ever want to charge it any other way. Both phones are fast charging compatible, but the included dash charging of the 5T is even faster than the iPhone X's fast charging when you buy the $70 Apple charging accessories. Camera is a category that I won't go too in-depth into because I already have a very thorough camera comparison up on my channel. Check that video out to see more camera test shots and to see how the video and audio quality compares. Both phones have terrific cameras, and both phones have dual camera setups. The 5T's second low-light camera only comes on automatically when the scene is dark enough, but the camera is rarely activated. But even if we were to ignore the second camera, the 5T's main camera keeps up in many aspects to the iPhone X's terrific camera system. Both phones take really good portrait-style pictures, and both phones do well in all types of lighting conditions. The iPhone X produces warmer images and has very well implemented HDR capabilities, whereas the 5T's camera produces cooler images that are true to life. Even if the iPhone X's camera more often than not edges out the 5T's, the camera battle is actually a lot closer than most people would expect. Both smartphone manufacturers have kept their respective phones simple in terms of extra features. But both phones still have features that people could deem useful on a day-to-day basis. The OnePlus 5T has cool gesture controls that let you perform different actions like turning on the flashlight, using a simple gesture while the screen is off. It also maintains a headphone jack at a time where that is phasing out. The 5T has incredibly fast dash charging capabilities. In terms of security, it has a fingerprint scanner and a less secure but really snappy facial recognition. It even has a 3-position alert slider. On the other hand, the iPhone X has its notification rocker. It has gestures that allow you to smoothly switch between apps. It has stereo speakers and is officially IP67 water and dust resistant. The iPhone X is fast charging compatible and can wirelessly charge. Outside of a passcode, your means of entry into the iPhone X is only Face ID, which does in fact work really well. Both phones provide some extra features that add to each of their experiences. Different people would prefer different feature sets. Overall usability and software is an extremely important category when choosing a new phone nowadays because of how often people use their phones. Small stutters could compound throughout the day. Apple has always done a great job with optimizing its phones with iOS to create a user experience that is very snappy and responsive. The iPhone X's gestures are able to show off just how snappy the iPhone X's user experience is. Apps all open quickly, and multitasking between apps is as simple as swiping the gesture bar right or left. On the other hand, the OnePlus 5T is also very snappy and responsive. This is the 8GB of RAM model, and apps are always open when I expect them to be. OnePlus's Android skin Oxygen OS is minimal in terms of keeping it close to stock Android, and also minimal in terms of animations. There is a slight learning curve with the iPhone X because of the different gestures and new way to close apps, but it only took about an hour with the phone to navigate through it without really thinking. With the 5T, you should be able to just pick it up and know how to use it right away. In terms of software, both operating systems have their pros and cons. With iOS, you get a simple interface and a vast availability of optimized apps in the App Store. I think the bigger pluses come when you also own other Apple products. Without any additional apps, I can airdrop files between my devices and other people's Apple products as well. I can iMessage and FaceTime to and from any of my Apple products. The ecosystem is definitely a plus that can't be ignored, and it is a valid reason to stay with iPhones. With Android, you get an increasingly simple interface. You also get more power as a user with the added customization Android brings. With Android phones, you can have different widgets, skins, and launchers to suit your preference. Price is a category where I simply don't praise a manufacturer for having the cheaper smartphone. I look at bang for your buck. And with the OnePlus 5T, I continue to look for the major flaws that tells me, yup, that's why it's only $500. And I just can't find it. Yes, the iPhone X is a terrific phone in its own respect, and has a very premium build and has a good amount of extra features. But the OnePlus 5T also has a lot going for it. For the $500 you pay for the OnePlus 5T, not only are you getting a terrific phone, but also a free case, pre-installed screen protector, and the fastest charging adapter of any phone. On top of the $1,000 base price of the iPhone X, Apple requires you to pay around $70 in extra accessories to utilize its fast charging capabilities. Additionally, if you break the iPhone X's back panel, it will cost you $549 to replace. Yes, to replace the back panel of the iPhone X, it'll cost you as much as the 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage option OnePlus 5T. Let me reiterate the fact that the iPhone X is a terrific phone in its own right. If we briefly ignore the price of the iPhone X, we'd notice that it's probably the most premium smartphone built to date, with the most advanced smartphone chip ever put on a phone. And also, I applaud Apple for taking a risk this time around and creating a phone that creates the biggest difference between any two iPhone generations to date. For most of the iPhone X's target audience, the price isn't really an issue. Also, it's hard to recommend someone away from an iPhone if that person is already heavily engulfed in the Apple ecosystem. Most of the time, I keep the iPhone X in my other pocket in case I need to airdrop or I need to iMessage, or in case I need to look at files that are on my MacBook Pro. For many people, this added convenience is worth the $1,000. But in reality, I know that phones are a huge investment for the average consumer. So if you're looking at getting a new smartphone, I would want you to take a good look at the OnePlus 5T because it's not just a good budget phone, it's a good flagship phone. It's a phone that has flagship specifications, a great camera, and the fastest recharging speeds of any phone. Just think about the fact that instead of buying an iPhone X, you can buy two OnePlus 5Ts. If the iPhone X is still worth it to you because of its added convenience of being in the Apple ecosystem, that's totally understandable. But whether you love Android or hate it, the OnePlus 5T has really shown that people don't have to pay around $1,000 for a capable phone. That's all I had to talk about today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.